Welcome to I Share Hope, the podcast where world leaders share their real stories of hope and how you can use actionable hope to start changing your life today.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire, and I Share Hope. Somebody that I love who's doing some amazing things in the mobile space is Greg Hickman of greghickman.me. So he'd be a great person to have on the show.
I'm Greg Hickman, and I share hope. I actually want to hear about Grant Baldwin. I was like, I would love, I talked to him, I know him personally, but I've never seen him speak on stage, so I saw a highlight reel. I mean, he's just a really inspiring dude. He's out there, engaging with, younger people, giving them hope, giving them motivation. So I'd actually be really interested to hear kind of where some of his hope came from, because I've never really talked about that with him. I'm Greg Hickman, and I share hope, and you're about to listen to Grant Baldwin.
Have a choice. You can look at those things as this is a miserable thing and this sucks and I can be ticked off and miserable and jaded, or I can decide, listen, this is life. This isn't fair. Maybe I didn't do anything to deserve it, but it happens. That's when it makes for a better story in the end. It makes for a better comeback. One of the things I like to say is the greater the crisis, the greater the comeback. This is Grant Baldwin, host of the How Did You Get Into That podcast, and I share hope.
And now, here's your host, Chris Williams.
Cool mic setup, buddy.
How was your day?
It was great, sir. It's
Memphis.
So yeah, you're not far up the road. You're in Nashville, right?
Man, we just came here, so we're new to the state.
No way. Where'd you come from?
Missouri. So we've been here. We've been in Nashville 3.5 weeks. So
what brought you to Nashville?
Just a bunch of connections and friends and contacts here. So
yeah.
Self-employed, we could live wherever, and got a bunch of contacts here in the area, and so we're like, hey, let's move there. That sounds fun.
And your growing passion for country music, and you think you're going to make it?
Nah, not at all. Zero. I've got absolutely no ability. So people would always ask, they're like, are you a country? And I was like, I don't even like country music, but for there's plenty of it here for sure. My wife's into it, but
there's a lot of it.
As a fan, not as a performer.
You'll convert before too long, I'm sure.
I'm sure I don't have a choice at this point.
You'll be hearing it all the time. Well, hey, man, here's how I do this. I follow the Interview 101 document that you could have downloaded from the website. Your administrator. Pretty close. So I stick with that, and that'll give you a good gauge of where I'm going, how the questions roll through. And at the very end, we'll chat for a second, and I'll be able to get a little audio clip from you that'll kind of help us introduce you at the beginning of the show. So
okay.
Once we're done at the end, we'll just hang around for a minute, get a few more clips, and then we'll be out of here.
Awesome, man.
Can't tell you how much I appreciate your time.
Oh, totally my pleasure. I was, really appreciate it. This will be fun. So I was just pulling up the that 101 sheet now. So
yeah,
cool.
So right underneath that first little line, intro, and then question number 1. So I'm going to give the intro best I can, and then we will let you tell about yourself. You'll notice question number 3 is kind of targeted more towards kind of real story stuff that goes on in your life and something personal that you've dealt with if you want to go there. So just giving you a heads up, if you get tempted to go down the road of a personal deep story and how hope helped you through it in question 1 or 2, try to save that for question 3. It'll help us keep the story lined up.
Okay.
All right.
I see a small typo that is quite funny.
Oh, you're awesome. What is it?
In the intro under guest.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more about yourself. So in the parentheses, your favorite person on Titter. So probably better that I catch that before you ever send that out to anybody else.
Just last week I was talking to a guy who's been knighted in Australia and by the Queen of England. Wow. And he started the Gates Foundation with Bill and Melinda, and he didn't mention that, but he probably thought it was funny and just didn't say it.
Yeah, it went through my head. I was like, I should leave this for the next person.
Thanks.
No. I'll point it out. You can leave it if you want.
Okay. It turns out the knight in shining armor is actually a prankster, and you're not. Okay. Grant Baldwin is a nationally known keynote speaker and expert at helping people find and do what they love. His podcast, How Did You Get Into That?, has over 30,000 listeners every month. That's really impressive. It's also been ranked the #1 career show in iTunes. A speaker to hundreds of people, actually hundreds of thousands of people, over 350,000 people he's spoken to, I'm sure more than that at this point, 45 different states throughout the U.S., and he has a book and curriculum for students, Reality Check. It's taught in over 400 high schools around the country. Now, Grant obviously loves doing what he does, but he says his real passion in life is his family, wife, 3 daughters, and they're in Nashville, Tennessee. Grant, thanks so much for your time today. So tell us about you, Nashville. What's going on?
Chris, it's an honor to hang out with you, man. Appreciate you letting me be here. Yeah, we just moved to Nashville about 3 weeks ago or so. So that's I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed for several years. We homeschool our girls, and so we could live wherever. So we're kind of going through the process. Like, all right, we could live wherever. I grew up in Missouri. All of our family's there. It's a great place, and really enjoyed where we're at. But I knew several people in Nashville, and I kind of mentioned to my wife in passing one day, like, hey, would you ever be interested in moving there? And just kind of throwing it out there, not even really serious myself. And she's like, yeah, that sounds fun. We should do that. And so we're here now, and that completely backfired. So, but digging it so far, really liking it. A lot of fun, and dig where we're at.
That's great, man. I'm glad to have you in the same state. Welcome edition. Well,
Good
Grant,
here.
you know how this works. So we're going to ask you 5 questions about hope, and I'd love to catch on to really your philosophy and thinking and how you do this, because you obviously deliver it to a lot of people. You must be a person of hope as well. So answer them any way you like, and we'll add them to our set of data and share this with as many people as we can. So first up, what's your definition of hope, or your favorite quote about hope?
Well, a quote I use often that I think would tie in well is that who you are is more important than what you do. And so I think for most people, a lot of people are very driven. We're very motivated. We want to do something. We want to be successful. We want to be someone. But oftentimes we can do that, and the thing that's left in our wake behind us is our family and our relationships and the people that really, really matter most to us. And so I firmly believe, like, listen, if I make a difference in a lot of other lives, if I'm a great speaker, if I'm a great podcaster, if I'm a great fill in the blank, but if I drop the ball as a husband or as a father or in those roles that really, really matter to me, then I've really missed the mark, and I've really dropped the ball in a big way. So I really believe that, and it's something I try to really live by, that who you are is more important than what you do.
That's great. Great point. And it's so overlooked. You're right. I do that all the time in my life, just get so focused on what I'm going to get next or what I want to do next that, man, I forget my dad and husband and community member and friend roles. So good call.
No, exactly. It's not like we're intentionally doing it. I think we're all busy, and we all have a lot going on, and we live in a culture and a society where oftentimes we applaud busyness. Even when we meet other people, we interact with other people. We're like, hey, you keeping busy? Because like the rest of us are keeping busy. Try to keep up with the rest of us. And so there's kind of this internal pressure to just to keep up with everybody else and what everybody else has going on, that we often just stop and to think about, like, why do I need to keep up with all these people in the first place? And why am I trying to do this? And what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? Am I just trying to impress someone else, or am I trying to reach a certain goal, or am I just doing this just to do this? Or what's the purpose and the meaning behind what I'm trying to accomplish?
Great point. Great. Question number 2 then. Who's given you the most hope? Who's been the person who's delivered that kind of hope to you in your life?
A person that's been a huge impact for me would probably be my mom. Has been a big influence in my world. I think the world of her, and she is just an incredibly strong woman. And I know whenever, like anytime life is beating me up, or I am looking for that dose of encouragement or hope or wisdom, she is definitely someone that I go to frequently. But so I would say my mom, my wife, my daughters. I've got 3 little girls, so I'm surrounded by women apparently. But yeah, all of those girls provide hope in one way or another.
That's a great point. Stories of family and friends so often come into that. It's those people that just are there and got your back when the chips are down. Good.
For sure.
Question 3 then. So when was a time in your life when you really had to lean on that hope that you're talking about and pull through? What's happened back there that's made you really challenge what you think about that and see if it's real?
Yeah, I remember one time, growing up in high school, I was really involved in my local youth group, and my youth pastor had a big impact in my world, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a youth pastor. I knew I wanted to make an impact in the lives of other people and provide that hope for other people. And so I went to Bible college, was a youth pastor for a little while. And so I ended up, there's parts of it I enjoyed, parts of it I didn't. And so I ended up leaving that position, that role that I was in. And so I felt like my life had just kind of gone back to the drawing board where I was trying to figure out like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? And what is it that I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Because this thing that I thought I was supposed to do, I was okay at it, but it wasn't really what I thought it would be or hoped it would be. And so I found for about 9 months of just kind of like, where's my life going and what am I supposed to do with my career? And this one particular career wasn't a good fit. And now what am I supposed to do? And I'm just asking all of these like deep questions. I'm like, what the crap is going on here? And so looking, at the time, it was just a brutal time, but looking back now, it was such I would say a transformational period and just a season in my life that helped shape and define who I am and what I'm doing today. And I think, oftentimes as it relates to just those dark moments in life, and whether that be, you just had a death of a relationship or a death of a family member or some type of tragedy or some type of illness or disease, anytime you have those types of experiences, oftentimes you have to realize you have a choice. You can look at those things as this is a miserable thing and this sucks and I can be ticked off and miserable and jaded, or I can decide, listen, this is life. This isn't fair. Maybe I didn't do anything to deserve it, but it happens. And so I still have a choice in how I get to go through this. I'll give you a quick example. I have a younger brother and younger sister. My younger sister had been married to a guy for several years, and then they'd been trying to have a baby, and so she had found out that she got pregnant with their first child. And on the day that she found out she was pregnant, he told her that he wanted a divorce. Just a crappy, sucky situation. And so I remember when she came over to our house and was telling us this, and she's just, understandably distraught and just devastated about all this. And kind of like both ends of it is like, my marriage is falling apart, but I just found out I'm having this thing that I've wanted for so long. And so I remember thinking like, and this is such a weird thought, but I remember vividly thinking like, this is going to make a great story, and I remember telling her that later. And like at the moment, you can't see that, you're right there in the midst of just this horrible situation. But today, fast forward, about 18 months or so, she's got this amazingly beautiful, awesome little girl. And she went on to quit her job and has a really successful business, and her life is really, really good. And so it's one of those things, like, just from, again, that wasn't me personally, but just outside looking in, of going like, anytime something happens, it can be the type of thing that beats you up and destroys you, or it's the type of thing where it's like, this is going to make a really good story, and this is going to, think about like a movie, anytime you go see a good movie, what makes a good movie is when at the beginning or in the middle, there's all this conflict and drama and everything's falling apart, but it works out in the end. Like if you just watched a movie about someone whose life just worked out constantly and they never had any issues or problems or relational issues or anything like that, that's a really boring movie, because that's not real life. But you want in a movie, like when someone's life is just messed up and it's falling apart, that's when it makes for a better story in the end. It makes for a better comeback. Like one of the things I like to say is, the greater the crisis, the greater the comeback, because it makes it again just a better story. So anytime any of us experience something in life, whether it be again the death of a loved one or divorce or losing a job or just trying to figure out what your purpose and meaning is on this planet, understand that you always have a choice. And while you're in that moment, yes, it may be miserable, and yes, you may feel like life is just beating you up, but you do have a choice in how that plays out in your story in the future.
Wow. A greater crisis makes a greater comeback. That's great advice. And you're right, man. All the stories and all the people that I look up to while I'm thinking, wow, my life is so bad in this one situation. It's true. If I'm going to watch their story, it's because they've gone through something really tough. And boy, that really gets me back into perspective of what's going on in my life, and that it'll come back around.
Yeah,
Good
and
point.
I think like in the midst of it, and this is why I think it's important to, I think journaling is really important, because I think it's important to just kind of emotionally vomit and just like let it out of like, this is what I'm chewing on, like this is what I'm wrestling with. And so one of the things that's fun to do then is just to go back and be like, man, I see this one season or this 1 month or this 1 week or even just this one day where like life was just kicking my face in, but now I look back and be like, you know what, it all worked out and it played out okay. And so just know that, here in the Midwest, for example, like storms come and storms go. Whenever there's a tornado that passes, it's not going to be there forever. Like it's going to suck for a little while, and then it's going to be okay. And today it's a beautiful sunny day out, but it may rain at some point. There's a good chance it's going to rain, and so you want to be prepared for that moment and know that it is coming. But when it comes, it's not going to be there forever. Storms come and storms go.
Well, good advice. Great advice. So, Grant, then how are you using hope in your everyday life? That's question number 4. So what are you doing with your experience and where you're at today, not just as a great public speaker and motivator, but what are you doing that the rest of us can do?
Yeah, speaking is a big part of it, and the podcast of what we're doing is a big thing. And I'd say both of those are things that I think that anybody could do if they decided that it was a fit for them or something that they wanted to pursue or something that they were interested in. Because sometimes it's easy to look at someone who has a podcast or someone that is speaking on a stage and think, well, they've got some special talent or ability that I just don't have, and I just think that's just not true. Like one of the illustrations I like to use is. I look at I got an iPhone 6 here, and it's the newest one, but this is the 6th version, So the first version, iPhone 1, wasn't as cool as this. And so whenever you first start speaking, the version 1 of your talk, or episode 1 of a podcast sucks. It's always going to suck. Just know that is the worst it will ever be. But that's not, you're not worried about version 1. You're just trying to get version 1 out the door, and then you can improve. You can get better from there. So whether that's a podcast or whether that's a blog or whether that's speaking or whatever that is, just know that you're always growing and developing as a human. So the podcast and speaking, those are definitely ways that I try to share hope. But I think even just, to me, I kind of alluded to this earlier, that the people that really matter most to me are my family and my wife and my daughters. And so living a life of adventure, living a life of hope with them. My girls are 8, 6, and 4. And so as they are in these early years of life, just trying to figure out what life is all about, reminding them that there's going to be times that suck. There's going to be times that are rough. There's going to be times that are miserable. But know that you can have hope, and you can everything works out. It's going to be okay. Take a deep breath, and so just trying to instill some of that perspective for them.
Good advice on that one too. What a great age to have kids at. That's perfect.
For sure. Yeah. It's like I really believe that. Like it's my favorite role is being a husband and being a father. Like that's so much fun to me. And so I want to be successful in business. I want to be a successful entrepreneur. I want to make a difference in a lot of lives. I want to provide hope for as many people as possible. But the people that really, really matter to me, the people that I really want to make some type of significant impact, is for my family. Because those are the people that mean the most to me in this world.
Wow. Good advice. So now going into question 5, making that practical for me. So I'm learning to grow in hope, and so many people that are listening are too. How can I, or anybody who's listening, take some really clear steps tomorrow? What can I do today, even? Some simple ABCs.
Yeah, I think I'll give you a couple thoughts here. One is on the big picture, from a 30,000-foot level. I think it's important for people to stop by and stop and think about what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that I'm good at? What is it that I enjoy doing? How do those things translate into opportunities that I can provide hope and I can share hope? Because oftentimes the biggest impact that you can make in the life of someone else is through things that mean something to you, things that are significant to you. So for me, speaking is something that's really important, and it's something I feel like I'm pretty decent at. So it's something I'm passionate about, I'm good at, I enjoy doing. So therefore, it is a natural way for me to share and provide hope to others. So there's some of those from like a big perspective of what you can do to share hope. But I think there's oftentimes just like little simple things that may mean nothing to you, but may mean everything to someone else. So for example, I try to write a lot of thank you cards, just like actual physical handwritten thank you cards. And it takes me, a minute or 2 minutes. It's not a big deal, but to someone else, that may mean everything. So what are those types of things where maybe it's a text message, like someone that you just haven't talked to in a while, and all you do is you just text them, hey, I was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. You're awesome. That's it. Whenever I send emails, I always end my emails, and a lot of times I end my conversations by telling them, hey, you're awesome. And like, that's it. Like 2 simple words But then I notice like sometimes people email me back. They're like, "Oh, that was really cool. I really appreciate it." Just like you just don't know what's happening on the other side, and you don't know what someone may be going through or so what someone may be experiencing. And so oftentimes we look for like these huge ways and things that we can do to make a difference. I want to cure cancer, and I want to solve world hunger, and I want to do these massive things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But oftentimes the biggest difference that you can make in the life of someone else is through something that may mean nothing to you, but it may mean everything to them. So look for those simple, small little things. Again, it could be a text message, it could be a phone call, it could be an email, it could be as simple as just responding to a tweet or retweeting something, or just something small that is not a big deal to you, but you have no idea what is going on and the difference that it could make for someone else.
Wow, that's good. So simple and something we can all do. So right, we can all send a tweet or a text message or a handwritten thank you note. I didn't know they still made thank you notes. Paper? You mean the stuff that crinkles?
Actual physical paper.
Wow.
You got to search for it, but it's out there.
They have stamps still too, huh?
They do. They're not making a lot off of them, but they make them.
Good stuff, man. So, question here that's not part of the 5, but fun to ask. If you're down and just need to get your head back in gear, popping some music in, what are you going to listen to?
Oh, man. To be honest with you, I don't listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of different podcasts. And a lot of times whenever I am at home working, a lot of times I'll put headphones on and I will listen to, there's a site, focusatwill.com.
Love it. Yep, I use it.
So I use that, and it's just kind of instrumental stuff, or even just white noise works. So white noise is really it's a really sexy music that I listen to. But yeah, honestly, it's kind of random. I don't listen to a ton of music. Like if I'm listening to, let me pull up my phone here. If I'm listening, like if I'm doing a working out or biking or running or something, I'll listen to some to some rock or some rap or something. But other than that,
no, man, Focus at Will. That totally nails it. Nobody has ever said that on here, and no marketing push here at all. They sure don't give me any money. They just charge me money. But Focus at Will is really cool. You just pick your genre and you set a timer, and it kind of keeps you focused. It actually helps you be a lot more productive too, and keeps the noise out.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's and they tell you it's supposed to help you, psychologically stay focused, and maybe it's that, or maybe it's just a psychological mind game that we're paying for. But something about it that's what I listen to during the day.
Awesome, good one. I'm gonna put that on the show notes. That's a great resource. It really is.
Cool.
Okay, how can we follow you if we want to get in touch with you and kind of see where you're at, what you're doing? Give me some ways to get in touch.
Yeah, online, grantbaldwin.com is where all of the stuff is. The podcast, again, is called How Did You Get Into That? On Twitter, we're at Grant Baldwin. But yeah, anything that I can do, feel free to email me as well, grant@grantbaldwin.com. Let me know what you're chewing on or wrestling with, anything I can do to help you and support you as you go about sharing hope.
Boy, if you're listening to this, that is a great resource. Anybody like Grant who says, shoot me a message on the blog or social media, he's got a lot to offer, so definitely get in touch there. Great. Grant, thanks so much for your time. Just brilliant time with you, and such actionable, simple ways that we can grow and share hope on a daily basis. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. It was an awesome opportunity. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right, man. Killer job. You just nailed it all. You do.
Cool. Thanks,
you talk a lot, don't you? You've been here before.
We've done this a few times, yeah.
How many episodes have you done on your podcast?
Almost 100. It'll be 100 next week or the week after. So we do 2 episodes a week, and we launched last May. So yeah, we're coming up on a year.
Wow.
Fun.
So the podcast run, you getting to hear. My first episode was with John Lee Dumas, talk about intimidating. Guy's got 1 million people a month listening to that thing.
Sure.
And then he recommended, I think it was Greg Hickman.
Uh-huh.
And Greg Hickman recommended you.
Oh, cool.
So
good.
That's how we got here, yeah. So say thanks to those guys. If you were going to listen to anybody answer these 5 questions on the planet, literally anybody, almost everybody says yes that we ask, who would it be?
Oh, boy. Let me ponder this for a second. John Acuff is a good guy that you could chat with. Someone like Michael Hyatt is someone that I admire and respect the work he's doing. But even as we kind of talked about there, a lot of times I look to people who, not just what they're doing in business, but just who they are as humans. And so there's plenty of people that if they are really, really successful in business, but they're just a shell of a human being, or you can just tell they're dropping the ball in lots of areas of life. It's like, that's not the kind of human dad, father, person, friend that I want to be. So try to look to those people that are not only doing well in business and doing things that I'd be interested in doing more of or replicating, but also who are crushing it in the things that really matter.
That's a great point. So you get in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and are you nervous? Are you standing there thinking, oh my goodness, I got to think of something funny so I don't just fall apart here?
Nah, yes and no. Like, I still get nervous. Usually, like the first 10, 15 seconds when you're out there, you're just kind of feeling it out. Because I can tell within the first, 30 seconds how the next 45 minutes is going to go. So if my first few jokes are bombing, then it's going to be a long 45 minutes. But if it's working, then you feel good going into it. So some of it is just not necessarily the nerve, but just getting up there and just getting going.
Yeah.
Because the non-glamorous part of speaking that nobody sees is it's a lot of waiting around. And it's a lot of sitting backstage, and it's a lot of just, all right, just tell me when, and you're just waiting for hours and hours to, for at some point in the conference or the session for you to jump up there and do your thing.
Boring and then full adrenaline and then boring again.
A little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're just coming off the adrenaline rush.
All right, a couple of quotes here then. We have each guest kind of help introduce their own show, and I think I'm going to actually run a quote because I have the guests, John Lee Dumas and Greg Hickman, both introducing each other and then to you. So that'll be kind of a fun intro. So then your name and I Share Hope. So I would say I'm Chris Williams and I Share Hope, or I would say I'm Chris Williams, an entrepreneur in Memphis, Tennessee, whatever, and I Share Hope. However you want to do that, you can do one of each. We just want to get your essence with I Share Hope at the end.
Okay. You ready? Jump right in. Hey, this is Grant Baldwin, host of the How Did You Get Into That podcast, and I share hope.
Perfect. That's great, man.
Cool.
Awesome. Can't thank you enough.
Totally
Tremendous.
my pleasure. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for letting me do it.
You have you just moved. You have an administrator that's gone back and forth with my administrator. Does that person move with you, or is she virtual somewhere else? How do you organize
Nope,
that?
she's in Missouri, so we lived probably 30 minutes from each other there. But yeah, she's staying there.
There's no reason to be in the same place. You can do that all virtual. Yeah.
We would meet for lunch once a month or so, even there. But we both work from home, and so there's in this day and age, there's no reason that you have to be in the same place. So
Love it. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy. Have a great one.
Man.
I'll let you know when this thing comes out. And obviously, thank you. You've just tremendous advice, and looking forward. We're interviewing 1,000 people globally. Every 8 million people on the planet get a representative. So, like literally, prisoners, the homeless, heads of state. We're talking to everybody, and so you just are a great spot filled on that list of people who really can deliver hope in a very concise way. So, thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, let me know when it's out, and totally happy to share it and do anything I can to help and support you.
And we're going to share your stuff too. I can't wait to hear your podcast. I'm going to go check it out. Thanks, buddy.
Cool. All
right.
man.
Bye.
Have a good one.
You've just listened to I Share Hope. If you're ready to make a change, head to our website at isharehope.com and claim your free copy of the Top 10 Actions of Hope from World Leaders to use hope in your own life. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.